Alright, so Tides of Terraria came with some pretty big changes to mounts in Palworld. We have new sprint speeds, we have new run speeds, and we also have some new stamina, as well as a couple of new mounts. All of a sudden swimming is relevant again, with the salvaging and the fishing, so we got some new swim speeds. You can see here that a couple of the old swim pals got a boost to their sprint speed. And stamina while swimming is not relevant at all. Swimming pals don't use stamina. So you're just having these Neptilius or Germantides at 4 stars. Without any sort of stars, Germantide and Neptilius are still the fastest there. So there's no sort of trade-off or anything. Serpent is pretty nice because it is available at level 10. So you're probably going to be progressing like Serpent, and then Germantide, and then Neptilius. Then we also got huge changes to the ground mounts because these were the ones that actually had a lot of stamina changes. So we got some new run speeds, some new sprint speeds, and some new stamina changes. So these are sorted by the average speed, including sprint and regaining stamina while doing the run speed. So you can see the third column is how much average speed they gained, and then the fourth column is how many positions they gained or lost in comparison if you were ranking them by the average speed. You will see that something like Kitson and Reinderix, they got quite a lot of positions gained just by getting a lot of stamina and also gaining a little bit of a speed bonus. While something like Grintail and Tyrantris, Surf and Terra, Aether, they're all those pals down at the bottom right there. They didn't really get any sort of buffs. They didn't get enough buffs or they just got 0 overall. And then one thing that's really worth mentioning with these ground mounts is that the ones that actually did get this stamina buff, now you can actually use them to attack. You can see the stamina bar is barely decreasing, while before using these two skills you probably wouldn't have been able to use a third skill without regaining stamina. So this is just a really nice change for being able to move around, do some dodging, and then actually pop off your 3 attacks without having to regain stamina. So this is the new stats for ground mounts. Had to split it into 2 because it wouldn't fit on a page. But you can see that Palumba on grass and Asterion and Dasimu, they're still the clear winners, but they can be a little bit odd to use. We still have Necromus and Palladius being really fast. So here you have all the run speed, the sprint speed, the saddle levels, the stamina. I will be putting this on the website as well. And then the average speed, as mentioned, is calculated by taking the run speed and sprint speed and how much stamina they have and calculating the average speed from that. Then of course you still have this sort of grapple glider combo that a lot of people use. So it's probably best to just combo this to get around. Like in the early game, you're still probably going to be using your ground mount and then grappling around. And then I wanted to show this thing with Palumba as well, because it does look super good on paper to have that incredible speed on grass. But just like Dasimu, it is incredibly clunky to use because it has a slow acceleration and then it sort of just instantly deaccelerates if you hit like a patch of dirt. So you will see these like incredible running super fast kind of clips and videos, but actually using it in the wild, like I think that's one of the best areas to use it on. But just using something with a good average speed, like even Yakumo now, this is the newly buffed Yakumo, you're probably gonna have, like even if the average speed might be lower, it's just way less annoying and you don't have to look for those specific paths. Then we had some changes to flying mounts. I didn't see any sort of stamina changes at all. They were all the same, but there were a couple of differences in sprint speed. So I decided to remove the average speed for flying mounts because a lot of the flying mounts, when they run out of stamina, they start walking. It's just a really difficult comparison to make. So that's just something you're going to have to consider for yourself. But we do have like Celine getting majorly buffed, Shadow being buffed quite a bit, and like stuff like Astagon just pretty much a little bit nicer to use overall. But then, of course, you do like, there are a couple of considerations with flying mounts, like if they walk or not. So that's something you're going to have to kind of like get a feel for, because there's a lot of stuff about like, especially the best example is this Xenolord versus Jetragon thing. Like breeding aside, you need like a couple of thousand hatches for Xenolord, while you can just catch Jetragon with Yakumo. During Fabric, I probably found myself using Xenolord a little bit more because of the long distances of Fabric Island. But now during Tides of Terraria, there's a lot of water stuff going on. So one thing here is that this one actually can drown. Jetragon can't drown, so when you're just traveling over water, as well as like short distances, Xenolord has got like quite a lot of stamina. But personally, I don't find myself using like the full sprint on Jetragon that often. So during Tides of Terraria, I've kind of moved back more to Jetragon just for all the water stuff. and they've also reduced the size of a lot of these pals, so Jetragon can now fit in dungeons. You can actually do the entire Tides of Terraria dungeon just on Jetragon, while something like Xenolord, when you land, it starts walking and becomes much slower. So just comparing those two, this thing where sometimes some pals float or hover and some pals start walking, it's just something worth considering. So this update, I'm leaning more towards Jetragon than Xenolord. The downside there is that you can't shoot from it. But that's it for this quick comparison. Thanks for watching.